everybody. So today's Monday, that means it's time for family movie night. And this week we had the release of the new Marvel movie, Captain America Civil War. And if you want to check out my review for Civil War, I'll put a link down in the description section. You can check that out. Thought it would be fun for family movie night to talk about, in honor of this new MCU film, to talk about what started it all. One of the best still that they've ever made is the 2008 film Iron Man. And Iron Man had a lot going against it when it first came out. They had questionable success with Ang Lee's Hulk. They hadn't had successes in Daredevil, Elektra, a bunch of their other tries. Not that that was necessarily the cinematic universe, but they had tried starting a bunch of franchises, a bunch of characters, and it hadn't really worked out very well. And so here's another shot at it. We're going to do, Iron Man, this comic that maybe comic book readers knew, but I think the average moviegoer wasn't as aware of him as Batman or Superman or something like that. And so they had this sort of more obscure character, and they had Robert Downey Jr., who had all of these drug problems. He'd had all of these things, and so they took a big risk with him. And they had Jon Favreau, who had done Swingers, who had done more sort of smaller movies. This was his first comic book movie, and so there were a lot of risks and a lot going against it, and it's pretty remarkable how much it just works, I think, in my opinion. And there are a couple reasons why I think Iron Man is such a fun film, even to this day. And the biggest thing, I think, is that Iron Man and Tony Stark as a character is a really well-rounded character. And it's something that you lose a little bit in some of the sequels, because he kind of just becomes sort of the playboy, becomes sort of the jerk. And one of the great things about Iron Man is in this movie is that he is smart. He is so smart. And by the time you get to Ultron, he's not as smart as he once was. He's sort of more desperate. He's more panicked. He's an interesting character in his own right, in my opinion. But in this movie, I think what is so cool is that, you know, Tony Stark gets abducted, for lack of a better words. I can't think of a word. He gets imprisoned. That's the word, imprisoned. And he has to figure out a way out. And just through all these scraps and all these things, he develops the Iron Man suit. And there's just that scrappiness to Tony that I think makes him really, really likable. And you lose that, especially in Iron Man 2, I think, that he's, you know, just the playboy and the fast talker and the whatever. And in this, it's somebody that I would want to watch with my kids, because I want them to see somebody that's faced with these tough decisions and is able to come up with solutions and is smart, and is his biggest superpower really is his own brain. And later on in the movie, the villain says Tony Stark was able to make this in a cave with scraps, and we can't even figure it out, you know. So there's just something great about that he's this tinkerer. He's this guy who hasn't really thought about the implications of what his company is doing. He's just never really given it a second thought. But now he's imprisoned. Now he sees his name on these weapons, and it gives him time to sort of think about it. And so that shows, I think, a lot of guts, I guess, that he's willing to kind of reconsider his life in a way that you wouldn't necessarily see with a lot of other characters. And he's a thoughtful character. He's somebody who cares, but he kind of has to be reminded that he cares. And so I think that Robert Downey Jr. is so good in the role. He is, even when he's playing the jerk, you still sort of like him. There's just something very likable about his performance. And, you know, the villain in this case, Jeff Bridges, he's fine. It's the first time that Marvel had done sort of the villain in the suit. And we get, of course, our introduction to Rhodey, and this is Terrence Howard, but he's fine in the role. I think Don Cheadle is a little bit better, but it's fine in the role. Of course, you get Pepper, who I actually don't mind. A lot of people don't like her, but I think that she's fine as a love interest. I think a lot of people take her off-screen antics with Gwyneth Paltrow and apply it to this character, but I think in reality she's actually pretty supportive, but she's also like smart. She's not a complete throwaway girlfriend, I don't think. So you've got all of those things. You've got a pretty tight script. It moves along really well. The special effects are believable, like when he's moving stuff around and things, but I think the main appeal to Iron Man is this idea of Tony Stark trying to get out of this horrible situation where he's in this cave, and then figuring out, okay, I could be somebody that's great. I could help people. And he has this whole new sort of lease on his life because he has a purpose. He has something that he can do with his life. And that's exciting. And I think that Downey Jr. is just so good in this part. And he kind of plays off both parts really well. He plays the playboy. He plays the scrappy kind of guy. All of those different things. He plays it really well. And so it does have some violent moments, like when he's interrogated by the terrorists. There's obviously some action violence, but it's pretty tame. I asked my friends, if they'd watch it with their kids, and they all said that they had, and so I think it's okay for a family movie night. And so let me know what you think of Iron Man. Is it one that you've kind of forgotten about? If you haven't seen it in a while, I challenge you to go back and watch it. And I think one of the cool things about Iron Man is that it isn't, because it started off the MCU, I don't think there was that same pressure to necessarily have all the tie-ins and the hints and everything like that. Like, it is more a self-contained film than some of the other MCU films. And I'm not somebody that really minds all those hints. I kind of think it's fun. But it is sort of also nice just to have this contained story. And you could like Iron Man just if that was the only Marvel film. You could still enjoy Iron Man. So let me know what you think of Iron Man in the comment section, and also I'll put a link. My friend Matthew and I, over on his channel, we ranked all of the MCU films, so you want to check out that video. And thanks so much. Please subscribe to my channel. I'll talk to you later. Bye.